Hey, welcome to Taking the Time. It's Wednesday, 4 o'clock. We're an hour late because I had a meeting at work.
And good afternoon, evening on the East Coast. It is 7 o'clock my time here. So we apologize for a little bit late. In the comments, you can yell at us or whatever you want to do, because that's what we're here for. We are here for your entertainment, everything you like about watches, some of the things you might not. But if you don't like it, let us know. And who knows, you might be our next guest. So why not? It's fantastic.
Keyboard warriors,
Yeah.
welcome.
All keyboard cowboys, yeah, welcome, yeah. We have thick skin. So
What are we talking about today?
well,
Rookie collectors? What?
today I think it's collections. Basically, things we either things we wish we knew when we got started into collecting, or or even how we started and what our opinions are. And anybody in the comments, feel free to add something, on just little tips and tricks when you're starting off just collecting watches.
New collectors.
So
And
yeah,
I was talking to, forgive me, my friend, if I pronounce your name wrong, but Rommel Manuel, and we were chatting back and forth. And he watches the show, usually not live, but I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Because he did mention that he was a newer collector, and that's kind of where I got the idea of this particular show, and so we decided to go ahead and do that. Some of the research I did beforehand, I looked up. I basically just Googled what are common mistakes of watch collectors, right? and we talked about some of the stuff that we came across. One article was from Bloomberg, and it was originally, sorry, I got something in my eye. It was originally from Hodinkee, if that's how you pronounce that. And it had some pretty interesting points, right, Brian?
oh yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah, and first I want to give a shout out to Horology Talk. They allowed us to kind of let us post this on their page today. Anybody that's on there, they may already watch the show from different groups or anything, but that was really nice of them to allow that. And I was behaved. I did ask before I put that post up, and it just kind of has a watch. It actually has the Mitchell Raider with some straps that are too short for me next to it. So we're still waiting for the longer ones, but that's another story.
Speaking of, what are you wearing today?
Well, today I'm wrapping up the week, and again with the Sangamon Mother Road in white. It's just been fantastic. It's easy to live with, and I really enjoy it. So,
You ready? I'm gonna make a few people jealous. The R Page Stealth Barrage.
oof, yeah. I'm jealous.
I think I've been wearing that all week, pretty much.
Yeah, that's with this one. It's been kind of one of those. What is it like? Because we had such great feedback on when we did the unboxing of this watch. That I was like, well, I really want to make this kind of my daily wear for, at least, a week or more, and really get that feeling. And it's just been great to live with. I think a couple of our viewers even ordered some of them, which is awesome. And it's really, really great company, great brand. And, I'm really happy that that's working out for everybody, and I hope that anybody that did happen to order one really enjoys it as much as I do. Like I said, yeah, strap. I thought it was nice and soft earlier. It's nice and broken in now, and it's great.
Oh, this is an elephant strap, custom 7 strap. It works perfectly with the dial, and I've just gotten him broken in. You just reminded me. it's nice and comfortable.
Oh yeah.
All right, we gotta get into it, right? We're 5 minutes in the show, and we've really just kind of introduced the topic. So I'll hit a couple points on this this Bloomberg article that originates from Hodinkee. Some of the points I didn't really buy into completely. Here's one that I did: believing that a movement makes a watch. Now, that's very true in the micro brand world, right?
It's slippery slope again, I think, because the one I'm wearing today is an NH35, and people go back and forth, and it's selling great.
Yeah, and that's what the article is saying, is that, you know, a movement doesn't make the watch, and that's very accurate. Now, I mean, if it's like an annual calendar or perpetual calendar, something like that, you know, that's a whole different league, though. I mean, those watches are so expensive that they do make the watch because that's what the watch is. But, you know, in general, a movement doesn't make the watch. It's the design. It's what the designer created and presented to you. The movement is, in fact, in a lot of ways, the mechanism which makes it a watch. So and I think so. It sounds like we're in agreement. That's a pretty valid point.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then, you know, you go into, well, is, you know, a quartz movement or an automatic or a manual wind, and at that point, it's really that's not so much of a beginner choice. I think when we think beginners, usually it's people in their, you know, they have a job, they see a watch, they save up for it, they get it. I actually, you know, you went and did research that way, and I actually went and talked to Charles Britton, was one of our fans who was on here last week, and you know, he said that, you know, his first thing, and I think a lot of people might not want to admit it, but he said, honestly, looks, the aesthetics are massive.
I mean, let's face it, like, when you're looking at watches, you're looking at the new watches, you're looking at the watch. You either look at it and go, oh, I need to find out more, or you look at it and go, bye, scroll right past it. So, yeah, I mean, how can you not look at a watch for the aesthetic value? And Rolex is a prime example of that. They just released their new watches, right? What is different about them? Dial collars or bezel collars?
Yeah.
What's that tell you? It's the aesthetics of the watch. Now, we all know Rolex is Rolex, and they're not going to make any kind of radical changes to their watches. And quite frankly, they don't have to. I don't understand it. So that was one of the things that was in that article too, is not respecting Rolex enough. I'm like, I get it, guys. It's a $12,000 dive watch or whatever a Submariner costs, but they've earned that place on the totem pole.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a great. You're buying a name in a way, but you're getting quality piece. I've not ever came across another watch that has the quality that a Rolex has. You guys, I bring the hate mail, but I mean, that's my opinion. I've had Submariners from the 50s that ran like a top from the 50s, you know, and I mean, we look at old American pocket watches that are running like a top too. So, I mean, that's the only other quality watch mechanism I can think of that compares to Rolex quality is American made pocket watches like Illinois, Hamilton, Elgin, Waltham, and that's why I'm wearing an R page.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Yeah, and that's a fantastic piece. Also, really, anybody not familiar with the R Page brand, they are really amazing. They are almost most of the components inside, I believe, are pocket watch movements and things that he modifies himself to fit into a standard watch case, and just makes really amazing custom stuff.
And he does do Swiss movements as well.
Yeah, excellent.
I don't want to sound like an infomercial for our page, but I mean, I love the guy. I love the brand. So what can I say?
Hey, it's great, and you basically followed Rolex up with our page, so that says a lot about Richard's watches.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, honestly, we're going to be a little off topic today, here and there, and I apologize, but hopefully you enjoy it. So when I look at this R page, it feels like a Panerai in a lot of ways, and I don't mean like aesthetically, but I mean like weight, quality, and feel. It's in the league. I would put it in the league of Panerai, just on the way it feels. It's got that presence like a Panerai. So, and what I mean by that is it has a unique style that's distinctly Panerai or distinctly R page, and that's what my biggest attraction is, especially to the W Rocket case, the lugs, the way the lugs are, and it's a beautiful piece, but it has its own sense and identity and the quality. I mean, it feels like a luxury watch, like a Panerai does when you put a Panerai on. I could correlate that to other brands, but I'm not going to.
no,
Sorry.
no, it's fine because I mean, really, there's no definitive list of things. When you're starting a collection, you're not going to have things like this yet. Case back openers, and I have 3 different kinds of those.
I don't recommend that anybody digs into a watch, but you're a modder.
I do mods, and some people have seen that one. The one of the more popular ones was that Regia Diver that I did, and so so I have watch tools and I have parts of watches and half done mods that need to get done. But really, it's I think starting out, I would say aesthetic. A lot of people then they learn about movements, things like that. Whether it be quartz, usually you can get it a little bit cheaper, and you can get a chronograph in quartz if that's your thing. Now they have mecha quartz where when the chrono is engaged, the second hand sweeps much more, doesn't tick like a quartz watch. I don't have anything like that in here, but and you might end up with go through a phase where you get some just wacky stuff online because it looks kind of cool, or whatever. But eventually, if you're actually to the point where you're watching this means that you have a few watches in your collection, and it's amazing because you continue to learn different brands, different different movements, different styles. What lug to lug width is, and things like that. And so my number one recommendation for anybody that's getting into watches actually is one of these tools. This is just a little watch strap tool. Usually, a lot of times they'll come free with straps or whatever, and most of us have half a dozen of them laying around. But and you can take a watch, a majority of watches, as long as the case isn't super crazy, and completely change the look of that watch without having to spend a fortune on another watch. Just like you said, Brad, with that that strap on there. You could have just as easily gone with a black steel bracelet or anything. So it's going to completely change the look of that watch. So yeah, I would recommend. I know we don't do a lot of consumer advice, but yeah, picking up one of the strap changing tools if you want to, if you don't have a lot of money, maybe you're younger, you saved up, you found a watch you wanted, and you want to give it a little bit of extra. There's a whole ton of strap makers that'll make you a custom strap with whatever you want on it out there, and it's that's another cool part. So
A couple other points that I found on other articles were focusing on earning money. obviously it doesn't make sense to try to make money out of your collection. That's not a wise choice. Choosing only one brand, that's a big no-no too, and it really puts you in kind of a hole. And that's a mistake I actually made when I started collecting. Is I only collected one brand, and it took me, I did that for a couple of years. I was just collecting one brand, and then I finally explored some other brands, and kind of it was kind of like a rebirth in a lot of ways. Another point that was on one of these lists is buying a trendy watch that you don't even like. I don't know why you're buying a watch that you don't even like to begin with, but yeah, trends are bad. Design, buying for a trendy design, and that's where I would stand up for Rolex, because they definitely don't play to the trends by any means.
No, but at the same point, a Rolex is a bit of a standard, and Rolex itself is
the trend,
is a benchmark trend. So
yeah.
If it's not for you, don't spend 15 grand on something that you don't love. Don't wear something you don't enjoy just because you think, oh, this is going to make me look more powerful, or this is going to make me look more exciting. Because
but let's be honest, nobody cares what your watch is unless it's another watch guy like me or you.
Yeah. Wearing watches, different watches for any guys out there. I think, especially for the gentlemen that think, hey, I'm going to get this cool watch, and I'm going to be, a real ladies' man. It's kind of like getting a fast car. You're going to be more of a gentleman's man, because
two people care about that watch: watch collectors and criminals.
Yeah, or just other guys like us that we are the people that are going to talk to you about your watch.
Yeah,
and
watch collectors.
Well, yeah, but don't think you're going to go out picking up members of other people you're attracted to just because you have a great watch, fancy watch on. So, and I'm trying to word this as politically correct as possible. So,
right. Oh man. So looking back on what I did and collected, one thing I did is when I got into micros is I really lost focus on what I was collecting, like my style and where I wanted to go. And I guess you can kind of see that in because I just sold off about like nine micros. So, and that was kind of like my rebirth in a lot of ways in terms of the micro world. I'm kind of reapproaching how I'm collecting and bringing in a focus. So that's my advice. Like, probably everybody's went through the phase where they've just bought everything that they saw that they liked or thought they liked. And so after that happens, it kind of gives you an opportunity to sell off stuff, take that capital and draw it into something that you want to focus on. The one thing that I see, and this probably isn't true to everybody, but I bought an NTH Devil Ray on the first batch, the turquoise blue. It's a beautiful watch, but it is homage to the Doxa Sub 300T. And I got that watch, and I'm like, it's not a Doxa. And in a lot of ways, maybe it would be a better timepiece than the Doxa, but maybe not. But I just couldn't. I had to sell that, and I moved on, and I had to work my way up to getting that Doxa. So like if you have your heart set on an Omega Speedmaster, don't get a Dan Henry to substitute, or whoever makes a homage of a Speedies. I know there's a bunch out there, but if I know it's like the price difference is astronomical, I get that, but in a lot of like we're
by no way but if you want the Speedmaster, make that your goal.
Yeah, make that your goal. Save up. I know it's painful, but save up and get the Speedy. Now, if but only you, right? Like we're getting into some psychology here. Like, I know me, like I couldn't have what I would consider as a knockoff Speedy or a knockoff Doc, so because I've been there and done that. And so that's not something I can do. So I steer clear of homages. And really there's kind of one exception to that, and that's Grupo Gamma. And it's that brand has evolved enough to where it's a homage to Panerai, but in a way it's not. Like it's became unique enough to where, like with the Nexus, the Wandering Hour is, it pays tribute to the depth gauge. So like that stands on its own merit, in my opinion. And so that's why I've been able to, there's certain pieces that I'm good with keeping. The Vanguard is another example. It's, it looks very much like aluminum marina, but it doesn't have the crown lock on the side. Like, it has design aspects of a Panerai, but its heart and soul isn't copy of a Panerai. So, wow, I just went on a homage rant.
No, I mean, it's okay, because some of them, then it gets close to like Regia and things that pay homage to other things. So, I mean, really, you're talking about just how to begin a collection. Me doing modding, a lot of guys really like to mod Seikos, so they will have if they buy a lot of mods or something, they're going to have a ton of Seikos. And that's cool, because a mod is a completely different breed of watch, and it's actually a watch that someone else created, and then someone like me decided to disassemble it and make it different. And so you kind of go from there. You just change parts, change crystals, change dials, change the hands, change the loom, everything, and you kind of make it yours. And that's something else to get into after you start collecting. But I think the biggest things for me is, if I gave my son his first automatic watch when he got into the police academy, and he really likes it, and it's a Blacklist. It has the runs the same NH35 movement as this one, and I mean, they do. They're the same. The Regia mod, I had basically the NH35, and so really, you got stick with the price points. Know what you can afford realistically. Really, if your watch costs more than your car, if you
I was in the process, because I sold off, I don't know how many Zelos watches, but in the process of that, I was talking to somebody, and I had the edit movement in a number of the Zelos watches that I was selling, and this guy, he told me, he's like, I have a rule that I won't pay any more for a watch than for rent or something like that. And I'm like, hey, I got to respect that, like everybody, everybody has their method and their means and how they do that. And I respect that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, let me ask you, Brian, what was one of the mistakes that you made when you first started collecting?
Oh. I'm going to be honest. Replicas.
Oh.
Huge mistake. But when you're getting into, my thing was, I always wanted to take it apart. So I wasn't actually wearing them, but instead I was taking them apart and seeing how they worked, etc. before I, or say, hey, here's a watch that's Omega C Master.
I got to ask, were you ever deployed to Afghanistan?
Iraq.
Okay. And
Yeah, they still have the
at
Turkish
Bagram,
missiles, don't worry.
at Bagram, you could get fake Breitleins and there was a bunch fake Panerais. You could get all kinds of fake watches at Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan.
Oh yeah.
Just like I guess it was like just like a little stand, you know. You know, there's like those little stands or whatever on base.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we had a
That was
on base in Iraq, and you could buy all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
None of it was
legit.
Yeah. So, but I mean, kind of, they say you can go to these huge opium markets over in China and get a Omega for about $50. So, that kind of stuff, you get what you pay for. Sometimes it's, and I'm not talking about the high quality replicas because that's a whole nother thing that's going on now. But and yeah, I mean it is scary, especially companies like Rolex. Even a well trained jeweler is having a hard time picking the fake. But my thing with when just spending a couple bucks here and there on replicas was, do I like the is this even something I want to chase for my money based on the size, based on and then inevitably I would take it apart and it would probably tell the correct time twice a day after that because it didn't run anymore. So
and that brings me up to another point. I saw something about don't be afraid to buy watches used. And I guess so my personal advice is it really depends on what you're buying used. And it's because exactly what you just said. Like there's so many super high end replicas that it's like, how do you know? And I mean, look, I used to help people find high end vintage Rolex watches. The last one I did, I found a gentleman, a double red Sea Dweller, 1665 reference Sea Dweller, double red. They're like 20 grand. They were like 20 grand then. I have no idea how much they are now. They're probably 40 or costs as much as a Mercedes now. But I had the confidence and knowledge and ability to look at the watch and know that it was legitimate. And now I can't say that I could do that. Like it's just because the fakes are that good. So I mean, if you want an Omega Seamaster, Speedmaster or Seamaster, Rolex Datejust or whatever your high end unicorn watch is, or your Grail or whatever you want to call it, I mean, for me, I would want to go to an authorized dealer, and maybe the authorized dealer can sell secondhand watches, but I mean that's just a scary thing to fork over, especially if you save up for a year or 2 or 3 years or whatever it is to buy that Grail piece, and then you end up getting burnt because you're trying to save $1,000, which I mean that's a lot of money, but when you throw $3,000 to a fake Speedy instead of paying $4 or $5 for a real one, I mean,
yeah,
like you can get a deal at authorized dealer for Omegas. So
I think the only person I've ever had a positive thing that happened with that was actually my stepfather picked up a tag for my mother, and he thought it was a replica. It was kind of a gag gift. He got it at a pawn shop, and for I don't know, maybe $25 or something. So it was kind of like a gag anniversary gift. Well, he took it to, just to get cleaned up, ultrasonic cleaned with a jeweler, and he asked me, he said, "Hey, you mind opening it up?" And I says, "Yeah, sure." It was real. I don't know anyone else that lucky. It just doesn't. It never happens. So,
no kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. It was a real tag. Probably about would have been obviously at a pawn shop. It was secondhand, so it might have been who knows where it came from, but anyway, it's they were basically selling it as a replica or a knockoff, and it's not that he was trying to cheap out my, mother's present or something like that, but it was kind of supposed to be funny, and then it turned out to be the score of the century. So, that can never happen to me, but.
So I got a joke. It's a terrible joke, but one of the jewelers told it to me many years ago. It's like, you know how to tell a fake Gucci from a real Gucci? Well, the real Gucci won't keep as good as time as the fake. Right as you're taking a drink. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's good. Get the water out of my nose now. So, yeah. And I mean, that happens across the market, all kinds of, from clothing and everything. And we've spun completely off topic.
Well,
but it did spawn from the question, what was the mistake that I made? And it was, well, I'll be honest that I would never sell a watch that I knew to be a replica ever. But I will take them apart and, have fun with that. So, it's get what you like and, and set your expectations reasonably. If it's not something you can afford because you're 16 and you have your first job, I don't recommend spending 10 grand on a watch. If you just save that up, you probably have other things you need to do. Once again, not buyer's advice, just kind of common sense. So yeah, I mean, any mistakes or anything that you made early?
I definitely put myself into the one brand box for a while. And that took a while. And I think part of that was just kind of where I lived. There wasn't a lot of other brands to look at. So, or at least that's kind of what it felt like. But so this is before the internet was real big, but me and a couple friends that collected watches together, we'd actually take road trips to, I'm from West Virginia, so we'd go to Louisville or we'd go to Columbus, and we'd visit different jewelry stores to see other brands and experience other things. And I mean, that's not the only reason we went, but when you're going to whatever amusement park or to a baseball game or something, oh, let's go over here and check this out. And we had fun with it, but it took several of those trips to help me branch out. But after that, I've explored a bunch of brands.
Yeah.
We're at what, 35 minutes, 32 minutes. So
start wrapping up. Yeah, I know. I mean, and it's okay to start collecting if you want to collect Fossil or Citizen, Casio or whatever. It just collect what you like. And
there's a group for everybody for sure.
Oh yeah, by far. And you're not, and no matter what you like, you're not alone. I guarantee it. So look it up on Facebook, check it out. A bit all over the place, and it's only because there's just so many ways to, what do I wish I knew? I wish I knew that this was going to turn into an addiction, that it's very expensive once it becomes an addiction. Make sure your spouse is on board with it, if that's the case. And then as you grow and you learn, just the biggest thing is, I guess I didn't know how much fun I could have with it. And that's kind of what brought us here today. Even though this was kind of a mishmash of lots of hodgepodge, lots of ideas, but I think that's the real point to drive home.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, totally. Like, if you're not having fun, then you're doing the wrong thing. If you have a theme, it's either stick to it or think about exploring different brands. Like, if you have a box full of dive watches and you feel like the dive watches are getting stale, then check out some pilot watches, or vice versa. But if you know that divers are your thing, then stick to your thing. Yeah. So.
And like Craig here just said in the comments, we can just touch on real quick. What about a watch that got away? What's your watch that got away?
Man, I hate to talk about that. There's one watch that if I could go back in time, I would not get rid of. And I got rid of it in 2004. It was a Rolex 1680 red letter Submariner. It was a 3.7 mil serial number, so it was like a 1973 red letter sub. It was the 660 feet first dial, and it was beautiful. I'd had it serviced. I had a new crystal put on. It was beautiful. Had a great patina, and that's the one that got away for sure.
Yeah, mine would be, and Craig is a great friend of mine from back home. We've known each other for years, so he knows who I'm talking about when I say I had a Breitling nav timer. And when I got in that car accident with Jimmy, Craig, you know who I'm talking about, paramedic or the band broke or something, and it literally got away. So yeah, somebody ended up with a really nice watch. So yeah, but life happens, life moves on, and it's what gets us here today. So that's about
right, my final thought. Oh, it's just my mind just went completely blank.
Yeah, it's a rough story.
Yeah, that's rough. But my final thought is I want everybody out there that watches this to find like 3 new brands to check out, and then look at your collection and think about which watch would look good on a different strap. There's so many exotic straps or different types of straps. So look up 3 new brands and share that with us and tell us, maybe you're going to show us a brand that we don't know of, because there's so many brands out there, and share that with us. And then check out your watch collection and think of what watch could use a new strap. And a new strap is going to feel like a brand new watch because it just changes the way the thing looks. So, Brian, what's your final thought?
Well, my final thought today is just, kind of going back to what I said. Things I didn't know is how much fun you can have with collecting watches. Stay within your limits. Get what you like. Wear what you like what you wear. It is an extension of you. There's going to be a ton of people say watches are antiquated. You don't need it anymore. You have a phone. You have something else. You have a sundial, whatever it is. Fair enough. But it's kind of an extension of your personality. It's the way I see it. So make it something that's fun. And not all watches have to be super serious or over the top expensive to be really fun or cool. And I think that's my biggest thing is that it's not about price tag. It's about enjoying what you have, and that's it. I mean, just enjoy it. And comment. Feel free to. I know this probably wasn't one of our better shows, but we also are live on Facebook as well. On it's Veterans Watch Collector channel.
Yep, on YouTube. Yep,
yeah, on YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, but
all right, guys. Yeah, we definitely decided to do something a little different today with talking about that, and that was just based on kind of a conversation I had earlier in the week. If you liked it, let us know. If you didn't like it, we know it's not our best work per se, but I think it's going to speak to some of the beginners out there. And you can follow us on Taking the Time on Facebook or Veterans Watch Collector channel on YouTube. And then we also are on Taking the Time on Anchor, and that connects to a number of podcasts for audio only. And that's it for us this week. For today's show. We'll probably have a later show on Friday and later in the week. And thanks for watching.
Yeah. Until next time, guys. Goodbye.